split line. There were 7s and 7.5s out there for Philadelphia. Total 42.5. My powering number only comes 6 for the game. Last night we saw 7s and 7.5s. The markets have moved to 7.5 this morning. Total 42 last night. We're seeing under money come in for this one, 41.5. And I'm seeing 7.5s across the board. And I'm going to say this. I don't think the 7.5s can hold. I think we'll see Giants money. So let's EBA. You're not going to get the worst of it if you take plus 7.5 right now. If you want the Giants, grab it sooner rather than later. I do not see this line going up. It's not going up to 8 or 9. So to take a plus 7.5 now, say there's urgency in that, there's a reasonable chance this gets bet down to 7 or below. Again, my powering number says 6, and I'm still pretty high on Philadelphia. But the Eagles have now, they lost the box score the first 4 games and still found a way to win. Now they've lost the box score in all 5. And they're coming off, a blown 17-3 lead and a week where there was all kinds of chatter in Philadelphia, all the chirping in the locker room, A.J. Brown and his cryptic social media posts and all the like. And when you blow a lead, a 2-touchdown lead, and you hear that chirping, it's something of a concern, certainly. And, of course, they still had a chance to win in the final play. Hurts throwing in the end zone. Couldn't bring it in. But when you have a 2-touchdown lead and you can't run the football, that's a concern. Saquon Barkley, 6 of 30 yesterday on the ground. The team just 11 of 45. Meanwhile, again, 11 carries, 48 dropbacks for Hurts. That's not the ratio you want when you're up 2 touchdowns. That's bizarre. They had a late fourth down. They had a 4th down conversion called back an illegal shift penalty against Barkley. And, of course, the defense got gashed when it mattered most. The last 3 drives, touchdown, field goal allowed, and they were all 50-plus yard drives, all long drives against that Eagles defense. So, the passing game was ranked number 31 in the NFL heading into the week. There are issues right now. And, of course, we talk about positive chemistry. I don't love this quote from Devonta Smith. Quote, "We got to get on the same page and continue to be on the same page. We could be a lot better, shot ourselves in the foot a lot." Been hearing a lot of these type of quotes from Philadelphia of late, which makes me think, again, the 7.5 may not hold. That being said, I did not like the leadership on the Giants yesterday. They did not respond well to adversity when everything snowballed. They led 14-3 after the first 2 drives. They didn't score again. 5 drives in a row ended in turnovers. It's hard to win games with a 5 turnover margin. And, of course, only 3 other teams in the last 25 years have turned the ball over on 5 straight possessions in the NFL. That would be the 2016 Jets, the 2010 Jaguars, and the 2010 Bears. 2010 Bears, for those who are wondering. So doesn't happen a lot. Jackson Dart, after the game, said the right things. Again, the team won first downs. They won yardage. But a bad team off a win, they did not execute, obviously. Dart, quote, "I told as many guys in the locker room as I could, as many guys as I can in the locker room, this one's on me, and I'm going to get better. I expect myself to play better in these games and to win them." But certainly there were a lot of concerns about the Giants' secondary in that ballgame. They got lit up again and again down the stretch for the Saints. And you give up, an 87-yard touchdown catch, an 80-plus yard fumble return touchdown. Hard to win there. That said, Thursday night, short turnaround. We saw the home dog. We saw the dog in the divisional matchup do fairly well last Thursday night with San Francisco. I'd expect to see some Giants money here. I'm not convinced the 7.5 will hold.
All right, Teddy, we're headed back for the Dallas Cowboys, right? They are not fully healthy, but they've been getting healthier week by week. Dak Prescott's still upright. Panthers, on the other hand, I mentioned how awful they look. They were down 17 at one point, and I thought, good grief, who let me bet the Panthers? And then here come the Panthers. What do we make of these two teams headed into week 6?
Look ahead line, Dallas -3.5, 47. My powering number, Dallas -3. The market's open 3.5 and 49 last night. And I'm still seeing 3.5s out there now, but 49.5 the total. Maybe it's time to emergency betting alert this one. Carolina +3.5. Again, it's not going to hurt you to bet it now. I don't see this line going up. I can only see it going down. Why? Well, the Cowboys are playing with 4 backup offensive linemen and no CeeDee Lamb. All right, Nate Thomas just made the first start of his career, filling in for Tyler Guyton. Hakeem Adeniji made his first start with the Cowboys at guard. All right, we've got Trevor Keenan and Brock Hoffman starting his first game at center. TJ Bass starting only his second game at right guard. You got BB hurt. You got Booker hurt. You got Tyler Smith active but unable to play in that ball game. Those are now, we don't know what the injury report's going to look like this week for the offensive line, but again, you got 180 rushing yards, 8.2 yards per play, 7.1 yards per pass. 8.2 yards per pass attempt, 7.1 yards per play. No CD, no problem. Ryan Flournoy comes out of nowhere. Jake Ferguson combined for 13 catches, 163 yards. Dallas was pretty pleased with himself after that ball game. And the defense still has some pretty ugly metrics even after the win, especially because the box score lied in that game against the Jets, where the Jets put up a bunch of yardage late. So I would anticipate perhaps some Panthers money. And of course, Panthers are 2-0 straight up and against the spread at home. I thought the crowd mattered yesterday. The team looked much more comfortable. The defense shut down opposing running backs, 13 carries, 14 yards. Carolina's running backs, 29 carries, 238. Rick Dowdell with a career game, 206 yards on 23 carries. Quote, they got to buckle up. Of course, he's a former Cowboy talking trash to his former team. They got to buckle up. I think they know for sure they didn't keep me there for 5 years for no reasons. Yards per play, Carolina outgained Miami by 1.7. The slow starts are a problem when you think back to that Arizona game. And, of course, yesterday, tying the franchise record with a 17-point come-from-behind victory. But Dave Canales talked about don't let things spiral. After they had that awful loss to New England where they lost by 29, Bryce Young, I think it was a great message that carried over. Obviously not the start that we want, but for us to be able to refocus. Canales talked about it all the time, being able to refocus from the good to the good from the bad. You saw that in all phases, regardless of what was going on with the scoreboard, just able to refocus and go on to the next play. That was a character win for Carolina. I do expect them to take some money, especially if this Cowboys injury report looks, you talked there about the offensive line isn't getting healthier. The offense isn't getting healthier right now. And the defense has all kinds of concerns when you look at the full season stats. So I would not be shocked. We've seen some already. There's still 3.5s widely available for Carolina. I'm not convinced that'll be the case all day or all week.
All right, Teddy, the Raiders. We mentioned how do the Cardinals respond after their ugly loss. Tennessee got a win. Brian Callahan not fired yet. Geno Smith, turnover machine. My guy's thrown 8 interceptions so far this year. And that is why I took the Colts last week. I said, I can't trust this team, especially on the road. But now they're back at home, and they're laying a lot of points here, Teddy.
Yeah, and the Raiders' home field isn't worth a whole lot. All right, Allegiant Stadium is usually half filled with opponents' crowd, and the Raiders have no history of winning on this field. So if you're going to say, oh, the Raiders are at home, I give the Raiders as small a home field edge as there is in the league. Look at line 5.5/6, 41.5. My powering number, Raiders 3.5. And I crashed the Raiders in my power rating after yesterday. I want no part. They look pretty bad. And you read the quotes afterwards and you'll understand why. 6 and 41.5 is where it opened. And we're already seeing 5.5s. And I'm going to emergency betting alert this right now. Doodly you. Yeah. If you want Tennessee +6, grab it. This can't hold. It can't. The Raiders aren't good enough to lay 6 points. Now, admittedly, the Titans needed a break in the worst way, and Arizona gave them about 10 of them. They looked dead in the water. They trailed 21-3. They allowed 3 touchdowns on 4 drives. And then boom, all of a sudden, they took advantage of a bunch of Cardinals mistakes. But Coach Callahan, everyone was calling for him to be fired at halftime. Things just have to go your way sometimes. We haven't had a lot of those so far this year. We haven't had a lot of bounces in our favor. Sometimes you need that. In the fourth quarter, Cam Ward, 13 of 18, 193 yards. I wish we had started better, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you start. It's how you finish. Calvin Ridley, we needed it pretty bad. Just to feel confident moving forward. We should build from this. That being said, Tennessee is a bad team off a win. Those teams have not historically done very well. But the Raiders have been a disaster since week 1. All right. They won at New England week 1, and they haven't won a game since. Pete Carroll talked about how all 3 phases were struggling. Well, I forget it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And I think it was the game in Washington where they were non-competitive. And they were even more non-competitive in Indy yesterday. Geno Smith has 9 interceptions, by the way. That's the most by any Raiders quarterback in the first 5 games of the season since Jim Plunkett. The last NFL quarterback to have 9 interceptions in his team's first 5 games, that'd be Zach Wilson. You never want to be compared with Zach Wilson. Pete Carroll, quote, "It was really disappointing for us to have such a hard time getting into this game. We need to change course from the way we're going." Talking about the struggles of late. I'm processing it poorly, to tell you the truth, because I did expect to win right out of the chutes. So, oh, by the way, both tight ends inactive yesterday. That's their 2 best pass catchers. Bowers is elite. Myers good. They lost another cornerback, Eric Stokes, hurt in that ballgame. Raiders are coming apart at the seams, even with the tough spot for Tennessee. The Raiders can't hold at 6. They really can't. We'll see some Tennessee money between now and kickoff.
All right, almost 20 Bills just got absolutely shocked last night by the New England Patriots. Now they head to Atlanta to take on the Falcons.
Yeah, look at line here. Buffalo -4.5 / -5, total of 50.5. My powering number, Bills 4.5. The market's open 3.5 and 49. The 3.5s are holding. The total has been bet down. There are still 48.5s out there. And let's do one final emergency betting alert. Let's do one final emergency betting alert. It's like, oh, I'm on the trigger. Yeah, if you want the under, bet it right now. We're seeing the markets are, the prevailing number is 48. There are 47.5s out there right now. This is already down from 49.5. But I don't know that even the 48s are going to hold for this ball game. There are concerns right now about Buffalo offensively. The Bills off the Sunday Night Football loss against the Patriots. The Falcons off the win versus Washington. And then the bye week. Last year, worth noting, Raheem Morris out of the bye week. They lost at home to the Chargers 17-13. And we'll see how fat and happy Atlanta is coming off a bye and a win. Buffalo likely to be hungry coming off the Sunday Night Football.
Over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, so we didn't have a good day yesterday, unfortunately. But it's been a good couple of weeks. The last 2.5 weeks, 24-12, all sports run. The baseball has been good, 4-1 start to the playoffs. The college football has been really good, with the exception of my big ticket. I won everything on Saturday, 10-3 college football run. And the NFL is still profitable for the season, even off yesterday's disappointment. Single best bet available tonight for Monday Night Football, wt.buzz /TC. But don't buy a play. Get on board with the package if you want to get on board. We got weekly deals, monthly deals, seasonal deals, basketball on the horizon. I would encourage you, if you want to get on board, check out one of the great special offers that we've got at WagerTalk.com. You get it for me, you can get it for anybody. But if you want some football, let's partner up. You can get tonight's play if you want, $25. I would encourage you to get a package, not the play. Thank you for commenting below. Thank you for the likes, and good luck with all your bets this week.